1 year ago, I had a life-changing event. No, I didn't have a kid. No, I wasn't diagnosed with an illness. And no, I really wasn't worried that the Cubs were going to win the World Series. What happened to me is I witnessed the death of my favorite franchise, Star Wars. I saw Star Wars going from fun for everyone to fun for stupid people. I sat there in that theater watching Episode 7 in horror with what was going on at the screen. And the worst part is that the people around me were loving it. Was I the crazy one that didn't like this movie? Was I the only one? Was I the odd man out? I mean, I've spent a year analyzing and criticizing Episode 7, and I was so worried. Worried's an understatement. I was beyond nervous, scared, concerned, frightened, petrified, all those things, that Rogue One was going to be more of the same bullshit. If you've listened to this channel for any amount of time, you know how I feel about SJW content in films, Mary Sue characters, all that stuff. I want a certain level of believability in my movies. So as the days counted down towards Rogue One, I got more tense. I wasn't thinking about Christmas or fun stuff and gifts. I was thinking about, oh God, another Star Wars movie. Is this the one that ends my interest in Star Wars? Well, no. Rogue One was a surprisingly great movie. And great is not an overstatement. I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought it had great characters, great action, great effects, a great story. It didn't step on A New Hope, it only elevated A New Hope. Unlike Episode 7 that ruins the character arcs that come before it, Episode 3.9, Rogue One, builds on the Star Wars universe and makes it seem like a more fleshed out place, and that is a good thing. Now, this podcast was originally recorded with Dustin and me doing a spoiler-free part, and then Nick joining us later. Well, due to an error in Skype, the Dustin and me section was not recorded. I don't know what to say. So, that section of the commentary is sadly gone forever. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of fade into the discussion we had with Nick. It's still over an hour long, and it still is just as in-depth. It's just not the spoiler-free section. So, enjoy this review. I hope it brings as many new subscribers as last year's did, and I'm just as honest. I'm not drinking any of the Kool-Aid. I'm not on the hype bandwagon. I'm giving you the same honest appraisal of Rogue One as I gave you of Episode 7. I'm just not heartbroken. So, I'm going to stop rambling and get into it. Which was cool. I did like that kind of thing. Because I feel like they really tried on this one. With Episode 7, I don't think they tried. It was just kind of like, hey, Star Wars, this is what you get. You'll like it. This one, it's like, hey, we got to earn your trust and earn your money. Like, here, we worked on it. So, Nick, real quick, Dustin and I have been recording for about a half an hour. We did a spoiler-free section of the podcast, so now this is the spoiler section. Before you get into anything, give us your score on a scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, to me it felt like filler. It really did feel like filler. I'm gonna give it like a 6.5.
Well, you're kind of a cocksucker.
Yeah, well, look who's talking.
I mean, did you steal that one-liner from my 5-year-old? Because he uses that all the time.
Are you teaching him to be a cocksucker as well? Like, what's the deal with that? Like, is it gonna run the family now? Like, what's the thing?
Anyway, back to Star Wars. Nick, you didn't like this. You know that last year I was shitting all over The Force Awakens. I gave it an 8.5 and Dustin gave it a 9 because, with the exception of the music, he thought it was near flawless. And there are just a few inconsistencies I found. For example, they talk about the Force like it's a religion, okay?
No, yeah, I got that as well, and I was just like, this is not what this is.
But in the first Star Wars movie, in the original Star Wars film, Han Solo says, hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blast at your side, kid. So they make it seem like the Jedi and all that shit has been extinct for a long time, and people don't really talk about it. But they make it seem in this movie like it's very... You know, like everyone, I follow the Force and the Force guides me or whatever.
Yeah, it makes it seem like Revenge of the Sith happened like 6 months ago.
But here's the thing, though: the people that are saying those things, one, Jyn Erso, because her dad knew what those crystals were used for. They were used for lightsabers, so he understands that the Jedi were real. The Force was a real thing. You have Donnie Yen?
Yep.
You have Donnie Yen's character, who is a guard for the Jedi Temple, along with his other Asian friend. And all the rebellion were founded by Bail Organa, who worked side by side with the Jedi. So the whole universe, to them, it seems like the Hokie religion or whatever happened a long time ago. But here, I think we have a swamping effect in statistics, where all the people involved here, they know about the Force. That's why they keep talking about it, because to them it's a real thing. But yeah, for the rest of the universe, for the Han Solos, it's nothing more than Hokie.
Yeah, I just was like, oh, I thought that kind of contradicted it, but, you know, I believe me, I get what you're saying. And speaking of the Force, we were talking about a character, when Bail Organa appeared and started talking about Obi-Wan, that's when I wanted to cheer. I was like, oh, cool, we know what's going to happen. Honestly, if I had control of my local theater, I would have had the original Star Wars movie just play next and see how many people stayed to watch it, you know? Like, I bet most people would have been like, I got work in the morning, I'm still going to stay and watch this. Like,
of course you are. Of course you're gonna stay and watch it and be late in the morning and shit. I mean, that's what's gonna happen.
I have the first one on right now, Nick. Like, I'm watching the original Star Wars. That's how much I like Rogue One.
The face, I guess the face replacements they did, or the face, like, the stuff they did for young Carrie Fisher and Robert Cushing, Peter Cushing, sorry, yeah, were amazing. Like, it was crazy. Like, it really was. I mean, they can never get the lips like dead on. That to me is like the problem. The lips are what you can never like get 100% right. You can get real close, but you can never get 100% right. And when I saw him, I was like, I was blown away. I was like, he's dead, but he's here in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny though that you say that's a good thing, because that's the one big negative Dustin and I both have. We're kind of like, it looks off. Her head's too big. He's too tall. Like, compared
to like seeing Jeff Bridges in Tron.
That's exactly what he said.
Compared to this, there's a giant difference, and this is a lot better. Yeah, it still looks like a CG plastic fucking silicone mask they did just, like put over on some person, but I mean, it's a lot better.
Well, speaking of CGI and stuff, let's talk about the ship battles, because Dustin, I wanted to get into this during the spoiler-free portion, but I didn't know if it would ruin it for people, because you know how people are dumb.
Right, no, and I'm like them, so if I were them, I would appreciate that you didn't.
So, I know this sounds a little nitpicky, and this isn't going to detract from my score, but I honestly thought the X-Wing battles, while they looked cool at certain points, I honestly feel that the effects that they redid in '97 for the special editions, the Battle of Yavin, I think those looked better. Like, not every shot, but the way that the action moved, I feel like they were a little stiff in Rogue One. Like, when the X-Wings kind of fly around, they kind of just glided. In this special edition of A New Hope, like, I feel like they're actually thrusting around. Like, I don't know, because George Lucas was a car guy, and he's the one that cut the animatics for them to, do the dogfighting and shit. Like, I just feel like there was better motion from the ships in the original films as opposed to anything post, even in the prequels. Like,
well, I mean, maybe they're making them slower because, like, they're newer and the ships are different and they'll all get faster in the next one.
No, Nick, the movie, remember, it's supposed to be like the next day.
Oh, I know.
I was like, that's the next day, because I'm just saying the CGI looked good. Like, I liked how the Star Destroyers looked. I thought they looked really cool, and I loved when they crashed into each other and then crashed into the fucking planet.
Was fucking epic. Holy shit! Because didn't one of those fish dudes called for a Corvette something.
Hammerhead Corvette.
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
I honestly knew it was going to look like the Tanto 4 because they've called that the Carillion Corvette before. I knew that was what they were talking about, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, this is cool. Like, that's how you add new shit to Star Wars. That's from, like, okay, Dustin, like I said, don't take these personally when I dig on Episode 7, but, like, the fact that we had to see X-Wings versus TIE Fighters in Episode 7 felt stupid. This movie, it makes sense because it's literally moments before the original film. The fact that they're still using black TIE Fighters and black and orange X-Wings as opposed to whatever color X-Wings, like, come on. Like, at least in Episodes 1 through 3, every movie there was an evolution of technology and the ships got progressively better, and then they evolved into what we know from the original trilogy. So by that accord, you would think that they would evolve that much more by episode 7, but they didn't, to sell toys and to pull the heartstrings of old people.
No, and that Hammerhead Corvette scene is the moment that it definitively, in my mind, I went, there is no way anyone could complain about this being anything like any other Star Wars. That was the one moment where I go, this is unlike anything we've seen in the saga. This is unlike anything I've seen in another movie. Just fucking brace yourselves. And they fucking ram their ship into a Star Destroyer, push that into another Star Destroyer, and then that falls into a shield, which, fucking incredible scene. That whole third act is the most thrilling third act of any film I can remember seeing in my adulthood.
No, I'm not going to go and give it that, because I still got to say, like, the original Star Wars third act I think is better. Just the Battle of Death Star, because it has the music, because it has the tension.
I did say in my adulthood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you can tell that a lot of the spaceship battles were like CGI. I mean, the Star Destroyers were definitely models, like in the tiniest details.
Yeah,
incredible. But the main ship at the beginning of the film that the protagonists were all on looked very CGI still.
Oh, that new cruiser.
Yeah, that it was like blue and white for the most part until they crashed it.
Yeah, that shitty toy, the U-Wing or whatever it's called.
No, the oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
For me, some of the new stuff was cool. I didn't like the ship that what's his fucking face, the bad guy, Ben Mendelsohn's character.
Krennic?
Yeah, Krennic. I didn't like his ship.
I think it looked a lot like Episode 7's transporter that Kylo Ren used.
I thought that too. I thought it would have been cool if he would have used a Lambda class shuttle, like the shuttle Tidarium that Vader was flying on at the end of the movie.
Did Vader look weird, or was that just me?
Okay, I think his gloves were different. His panel was definitely different, and he didn't have a chain to hold up his cape like he did.
Also, did his helmet look enormous, or was that just me?
Well, no, Dustin, he wouldn't have a chain for A New Hope, because I'm watching A New Hope. He doesn't have a chain on that costume.
Okay.
But I didn't like who played him, because I thought the guy's motions weren't like David Prowse enough.
It felt like Kane Hodder was in that outfit.
I looked. It was two different guys that played Vader. I stayed for the credits to watch that part.
Okay.
They were two random dudes, and I don't think they did a great job. I don't think Vader being in the movie hurt it, but I liked him being in it.
I didn't like him turning around with his hand like up like that, like he's choking the guy. It's like just show his back, let him say his line, and walk off. Done. Don't turn to the camera and show your hand like you're grabbing some like invisible balls. Like that's weird.
Now, like we said earlier, Jeff, though, yeah, initially I felt like, oh, maybe they could have done without Vader. But that fucking scene at the end.
Oh, I'm with you. I can tell you love it. I can tell you're in love with it.
Like, it was horror.
Yeah, it was. It was sheer terror for sure. You know, just hearing the breathing and then seeing the lightsaber come on in the dark, like that's like shit's gonna go down.
That might be the best Vader looked.
Do what?
That might be the best Vader looked with the lighting, like you were about to say, Dustin. The way and then the lightsaber came on, and there he was.
I'm trying to think what else. I think Mads Mikkelsen did a great job. I think he was a very sympathetic character. He sounded like a genuinely good dad who did what he had to do to keep his daughter alive.
Yep.
As a parent, I don't mean to play that card, but as a parent, like I definitely felt for
Jesus Christ, not that card.
No, but I genuinely, when he was like, know that everything I do it to keep you safe, to protect you, tell me you understand, like, I'm not in a situation where the Empire is going to fucking kill me if I don't create a weapon of mass destruction. But I have that sentiment as a parent that, like, all my actions are fundamentally for the sake of my kids. So seeing that in a Star Wars movie, when we're so used to shitty dads that cut off their kids' hands, or shit like that, like, that was a cool moment.
Or kids who kill their parents.
Yeah, just like, I thought that was perfect. Another thing, I think now's the time. Sol Guerrero absolutely fucking sucked.
Yep.
No, yeah, he did. I didn't understand why he had to come, why he was there for a second and then came back, and like it was weird with that character. I didn't understand that part at all.
They built him up to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah, like they wanted him to be Obi-Wan, but he wasn't.
See, I didn't think they were going for the Obi-Wan. I thought they were going for him being like a paranoid tyrant. You know, they pointed out he's like an extremist, basically a terrorist. And I thought they were going to go that route because for a second there he goes, "Is this a trap? Did you come here to kill me?" And then I thought he was going to snap and try to kill her. But then he randomly came to his senses out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, it would have been way cooler if they would have made him paranoid the whole time.
Yeah.
He had a change of heart out of nowhere.
And also, what was with the mind-reading squid from Starship Troopers that showed up all of a sudden?
Yeah, I was
like
wondering
it just like blobs into the room and starts like trying to molest the fucking pilot. It's just like it'll tell you the truth.
The thing I liked about that was that it showed that his level of paranoia, where he was willing to like fuck somebody's mind up just to appease his suspicions. But yeah, I mean, maybe a squid thing wasn't the right choice, but I thought it helped build his character at least a little bit.
I looked at it and I was like, there's a couple of things. Like, I understand, suspending disbelief and, it's Star Wars and things like that, but then it's just like this random scene of like this squid, like this gelatinous thing coming into the room and like grabbing this person, and it's like this thing will is basically a biological lie detector, and it'll make sure you're telling the truth, what your intentions truly are. It's like, okay, dude, okay, you couldn't just beat the shit out of him or use some sort of futuristic space technique to torture him or something. Come on.
Can we talk about another problem I had? It was the stormtroopers. I thought their voices sucked. Something about like all the audio of people in helmets sounded off, like they weren't finished processing it, because the stormtroopers all had a certain sound to their voices in the original one.
Yeah.
And they should have kind of mimicked that. I just didn't like their voices, and I know this is dumb, but I didn't like how the stormtroopers, to sell more toys, the stormtrooper figures the stormtroopers in this movie did not have the holsters that they have in this movie, the original Star Wars, and every other one. They took them off, I think, just to sell toys, because, this one doesn't have the fucking holster on it, so it's a different toy, we can sell it. Like C-3PO with his red arm. It's like...
Yeah, exactly.
This movie doesn't lend itself, though, to a lot of toys, because, like, everyone's dead.
And that's the thing. Here's the big thing we didn't talk about earlier when we mentioned, we're not going to tell you which characters died. They all fucking die. And I did not see that.
That made me really happy when they all died. I was like, oh, thank you. It's done. Their whole story's done. We're not going back. We're not going to get to, like, Rogue One Part 2, the re-Roganing, or whatever.
The Joe Roganing?
The Joe Roganing, So, I'm really happy with that. Gosh.
Well, I was worried that this girl, let's talk about her. I was worried she was going to be like Rey, all of a sudden had all these powers, everyone was there. The only thing she really had going for her was, like, she was able to talk people into, like, getting rallied up to fight. Other than that, she wasn't this stupid, overly powerful, independent character that was like, I don't need a man, I don't need you to hold my hand.
Yeah, and I remember you reading something, I don't know if it was, somebody posted something about, or you may have read it or said it, where, like, she was like the male characters were really dumbed down and she was like lifted up above them. It's like I didn't see that at all. It seemed like everybody was pretty equal. Like there was none of this like SJW, like women are more powerful than men, like we must bow to her kind of bullshit. Like there was just like she was equal amongst them. Like that's what happened.
I think Disney's smart enough not to do that again.
And then the times that she gets in trouble, it's a guy who always saves her. I don't remember her saving a guy ever, but she gets in 2 or 3 life or death situations, and it's always a dude that saves her last second.
That's because dudes are way better, that's why.
Well, no, all joking aside, though, she should have to be rescued certain things, because she's not... Like, okay, Krennic was going to shoot her. He had her dead to rights. She needed to be saved to get out of that scenario. She's not going to all of a sudden learn the Force or do some wicked spin kick.
No. I was waiting for that. I was like, if you learn the Force right now, I will walk out.
Yeah, I was worried they were going to pull some more of that dumb bullshit. You know what's going to be crazy is if, for me, this is just my personal opinion, if all the episode numbers suck, but all the interstitial, like, in-between films are good. Like, I'm going to be blown away. If that's what... like, if the Han Solo movie's awesome, and if this is awesome, and that's awesome, like, I'm going to blow my... It's going to blow my mind. Like, those are going to be the good Star Wars, and the mainline ones are going to suck asshole.
Yeah, like, just like kind of the side stories of, like, smaller characters, main characters and smaller characters are going to be the ones that we all, like, love and want to rewatch.
Can I jump back to her getting knocked down really quick?
Oh, of course. We can talk about all this shit. I'm so pumped about this fucking movie.
Yeah, no, I liked it where, she has her first action scene, and she starts whipping ass and then gets chokeslammed and made to look like a bitch.
By a robot. By Alan Tudyk.
I didn't realize that was
for real. I was just like, oh, yep, this is the badass. Oh no, my God, she just got knocked the fuck out. Like,
I was a little nervous.
Knocked the fuck out by T-1000.
Well, I was honestly nervous because I'm like, oh God, she's gonna be like this the whole fucking movie. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna go and rip this movie a new asshole if she's like this the whole time. Nope, she got smacked the fuck down, like boom.
And also the robot, I think, was one of the best parts of the movie. Alan Tudyk as that robot was fucking hilarious.
He was.
I
loved
that. Was my favorite droid in any of the films.
Yeah,
I might go out and buy his action figure. Put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, just so funny and so on point. I loved it.
I was sad to see him die, though.
No, I was too. That was one of the things I was really sad about. Was like, he's gonna die, but he's gonna sacrifice himself for the greater good.
I was thinking to myself, couldn't we CGI him into A New Hope and just get rid of C-3PO?
Yes.
I would prefer that. I hate fucking C-3PO.
Yes.
See, I don't hate C-3PO, but I would love if was it K2SO?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Dustin, I kept thinking of you when I kept calling him K2. I was like, hey, it's Dustin. And Dion kicking his wife in the stomach. Nick, you know that story.
His jokes were so good, and it wasn't forced. It wasn't cheesy. It was just like, oh, that's a really clever line for him to say at that exact moment.
Yeah, for example, when we were watching, or not we, because you weren't there, Dustin, but in episode 7 when Finn goes, you see that fast? I'm in charge! I'm in charge! Like, that kind of dumb shit was just dumb. Like, this movie made me hate episode 7 more, but love Star Wars as a whole again. Like,
well, that's good.
I can go to the toy store tomorrow. I'm not going to, but I could go into the toy store and be like, it would not hurt to add. Okay, for example, with the exception of the robot and Krennic being my favorite characters, I loved Donnie Yen and his sidekick. Like, those characters were very interesting to me, and I thought Donnie Yen was gonna suck. I was very like, oh no, this is gonna be some bullshit with him and all this flipping around dumb shit, and I was just like, I really liked his character. He did a great job, and I loved his sidekick, and when Donnie Yen and him died, I was just like, God damn it!
Yeah, same here. I really loved them. Like, the one thing that Donnie Yen did in the movie that I was just like, all right, fuck you. I'm not gonna accept that. Was when they were on that one planet, where there was it was raining and shit, and they were at the I forget the name of that fucking planet. But he turns his staff into a gun and shoots a TIE fighter that crashes into the turret. I was like, no, I don't accept that at all. There's no way you're that fucking good. Your hearing is that honed in, and you're that fucking good.
But he was like a catalyst for the Force. He's not like a Jedi, but like the Force, he believed, and then I have no reason to think he was lying, that the Force uses him as like a chess piece to maneuver fate into the direction that it wants it to go. So I had a little easier time accepting that. I did kind of roll my eyes, but I was like, if I take his character's word, I think that he is just a pawn piece for the greater good, and then that's why that would work.
And the thing that's blowing my mind is that I was more invested in his death, and everyone's death in this movie than I was Han Solo, my favorite Star Wars character. Like, episode 7 was such a product. It was like, hey, we're getting this to come back, and this coming back, and blah, 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 and remember this, and remember that, and it all just seemed fake, and I couldn't get invested in it because it was like trying to be sold something. This movie felt like an actual movie, like the original Star Wars is a movie that just so happens to have merchandise come out next. Same with Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, there was merchandise before the film, but that movie was made as a film, not as a commercial for toys and other products. This movie doesn't feel like a commercial for toys. It's just like, oh, well, there's Stormtrooper figures, you can go buy those, cool. But they all need to be in this movie. And like, every Imperial vehicle was there. It was cool to see the ATST just for a brief moment. The new AT-ACT was there, which they sucked, dude. Like, when I watched that, I went, the Empire, the first thing they're doing is putting stronger armor on those fucking walkers. Because they shot its fucking leg.
Yeah, and it just went down. Just went down like that. I mean, even then, there was one that was missing the middle part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, the middle compartment, it just gets split in half and blown up. I was like, oh, okay.
And I'll give Disney this credit. the fact that they created a new walker that's weaker to get destroyed does not hurt the Empire Strikes Back because it's not the same ship. So in your mind, you can say, well, it took them 4 years or 3, because this movie literally takes place the day before A New Hope starts. Which, by the way, A New Hope takes place over, what, 2 or 3 days? Maybe?
I was never quite clear on that, but yeah, something like that.
I'm going to say, hypothetically, it's 3 days, 4 at the maximum.
Let's say A New Hope takes place over like Labor Day weekend or something, like a long weekend, you know?
Yeah, but if you think about it, so day 1 is outer space, and they land on the planet, and then the next day they get picked up by Luke, and then the next day they go to the Death Star, and then the next day they fight the Death Star. So I lost track of how many days that was. Was that 4?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. So I'm just saying, 3 or 4 days after the events of Rogue One, the Death Star is going to get destroyed. How pissed is the Emperor? Like, he has sunk billions of Republic credits or whatever. Well, I guess they still do Republic credits.
I think it's yen. I want to say it's yen.
Donnie yens.
Yeah,
I need 35 billion Donnie yen to build a new Death Star. No, it's just, you think about it, it's like, man, the Empire is just setting up for failure. And it's funny, even when the Rebels like kind of lost in this movie, they still won because you know what's going to happen. It was such an uplifting ending. Like, oh my god, I want to go watch this right now again.
But that's the thing, my 6-year-old, he's very, I don't know, he's fucking cool. But he keeps track of in the episodes, like, if the bad guys or the good guys are up by the end of it. And normally he points out, like, oh, episode 5, the bad guys are ahead. Episode 3, bad guys are ahead. At the end of this one, he goes, Dad, who won that one? And I was like, I don't really know how to explain it, dude. Like, all the good guys died, but their cause was elevated because of it. So how do you decide who won?
I would say the Rebels won this ultimately because, like I said, within 3 days or 4 days, the Empire was going to go down. Like, I'd love to have that conversation with your kid. I met your child once when he was 1 year old. So yep. It would be like, hey, I met you, but you don't remember. Here's a picture of you. Like, I was there. It would just be interesting to hear a kid's thought on that. Because, you know, this is like an old Star Wars movie where you can take kids, but adults can enjoy it and they don't feel stupid. Like, Episode 1, you had Jar Jar Binks and the whole whoopee whoopee and all that shit.
There was so much political stuff in the prequels. It was just it was difficult to follow. This one is just like, you know, everything was very straightforward and simple, and I liked it.
Did you guys have any sympathy for Krennic? Because I did.
I did. I think he's on the side of the government that believes that what they're doing is good. He wasn't like evil for the sake of evil. He was the guy who genuinely thought we can bring peace to the galaxy if we have a weapon that'll scare them into submission. And he was a man driven by pride who kept getting undermined and overlooked by Grand Moff Tarkin, who would steal his credit when things worked out, but then throw him under the bus when things didn't. And so that made me sympathize with him because I've had bosses or co-workers that are just like that. You know, if things are going good, it's because of them. If things are going bad, it's your fault. And to watch this guy who's doing what he thinks is right have to struggle with that against the likes of fucking Darth Vader and the Emperor and Grand Moff Tarkin, I sympathize.
Yep, and I just, the whole time I was thinking, like, man, this poor guy. I can't believe I'm thinking, like, the Imperial guy is the misunderstood one, and I want him to, like, fuck Grand Moff Tarkin up, but Grand Moff Tarkin dies because of his own vanity or ego, because remember, it's like, evacuate? No, moment of triumph? I think you overestimate the chances. Like, literally, dude, you could have survived Star Wars if your ass would have got on a fucking shuttle. Like, the Death Star was a bad idea. Oh, and real quick, by the way, speaking of the Death Star, it looked really cool in this movie, but at the same time, to me, it's a testament to the original film that it looks the same in this movie, A New Hope, as it does in Rogue One, with the exception of the parts where it, like, you know, rises through the atmosphere and those kind of shots.
Yeah.
But overall, like, when it's in space, the Death Star is very consistent, and I like that. It's not like they made it do something crazy that the original one fell, like, in quality because of. Like, this movie, just like I said earlier to you, Dustin, this elevates the original film, which elevates, you know, this franchise again. It's not disjointed. It does.
And I think the one thing they added to the Death Star that needed to be added was that they can put it into hyperdrive. And that's how they get it from one part in the galaxy to the other. Because if it just slowly floated the whole time, how many fucking planets is it going to... It's going to take years to get to another planet to blow it up. Whereas here they show, oh, we have the technology. Once we have enough energy, we can fucking beam it over. And another thing, we talked about how, man, that's inconsistent by having it do its first test on Alderaan when we think that it does it here. They did the perfect thing here by going, we're testing it out, but not its full capability. We're just going to go to level 1. So the full actual test was still on Alderaan, but we got to see it in action twice here on a way lower setting.
Now, real quick,
I love how the way lower setting is still like, you know, like Hiroshima, like just like.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how it looked like a nuke. I loved that shot. It reminded me of Watchmen, where in the dream,
when they're embracing during Night Owl's dream.
Yeah, I thought that's what that reminded me of, because I was so happy to see Jyn.
Did it remind you of True Lies at all?
I don't like True Lies.
Okay, never mind then.
That's the one Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that people go on about, and I go, it's so lame and boring. Like, he doesn't blow anybody apart. He doesn't say any really sweet lines. It's just, oh, my wife might be cheating on me. Jamie Lee Curtis is like a spy thing. What the fuck? It's like, ugh. I know a lot of people in the comments section go, I love True Lies. What are you talking about? I'm going to go, you know what? I love Arnold Schwarzenegger in movies like Commando and Predator and T2.
Very true. Very
no,
true.
But back to Star Wars, Dustin. I think it was established that the Death Star could use hyperspeed.
But to actually, like, see them acknowledge it.
Oh, okay. Because I just always thought that was, like, to me, I thought it was like, oh, yeah, they use hyperdrive. Like, I guess I read it in books. Kind of like the Darth Vader fell in the volcano thing. Like, it was mentioned in other places.
Yeah, but, like, watching that scene where it's, like, it's that whole, like, that volcano planet, I was like, how much more do you need to say that Darth Vader's the devil than right here? Like, it was so much of just, like, he is the devil. He is the Dark One. Like, I was like, holy shit.
Now, do you think the crowd service here was done well?
Absolutely.
God, yes.
I think that, like we talked about, all the homages, the little winks and nods were perfect. They weren't overdone. They were used at the right time. And I think that they gave us everything we could have possibly asked for, except for a memorable score. I don't think I could have asked for one more thing in this film, because we are very fortunate that we got what we got.
Yeah. I can't believe... Okay, here's another thing. We're talking about old school shit. I loved how when they went to fire the Death Star, the old, that effect that they show on the screen, that it's like the ball with like the explosion looking thing, I was so happy that was in it. You know, because normally, like, when they make a new movie, they just ignore like how it looked prior. But like all the holograms didn't look like the prequel holograms. They looked like the Princess Leia hologram from A New Hope, and all the Death Star panels and accoutrements, all that whole thing. Yeah, all like straight out of the original.
Yeah, that's one thing I really was afraid of, you know, things like that, because I've seen a lot of sci-fi prequels, and it's always like, why is everything more advanced in the beginning than it was, you know, in the one that comes after this? And they made it look just like the old movie, and I was extremely happy and very pleased that they took the effort. They made the effort to do that, because that makes everything feel like it's in that time frame, in that realm, in that era.
So Dustin, real talk question: does this movie make you think any of the points I had about Episode 8 or 7 are more valid now?
I can definitely. How do I word this? I still like Episode 7 a lot, but seeing the potential that this franchise has in a post-George Lucas world, after seeing this film, I'm way less lenient on 7. 7 I gave a lot of passes because it's a new director. They're trying to reinvigorate the franchise. And I enjoyed it. I really do. I'm not going to take that back. But now that I see that they can make these kind of movies, that they're willing to make these kind of movies, Episodes 8 and 9 better be brand new fucking stories. They better be wholly original and not relying on Episodes 4, 5, and 6 anymore, because they've used that up. Now my patience is worn thin. I better not be reminded of 5 and 6 at this point, because now I see, oh, you guys can make a fantastic fucking movie without having to rehash it. No excuses anymore.
That's all I was just asking. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, you gotta hate it or all these things, but at least it opened your mind a little bit, because me going into this, I was thinking, fuck, more of the same bullshit. And it was nice that the crowd I went with, it was almost completely sold out. And I mean, the tickets were sold out, but there were still some open seats left. People applauded at the end and people laughed at the jokes, but people weren't cheering the whole fucking movie like they were in episode 7.
The theater I went to was about 3/4 full.
I'm worried that this movie is gonna underperform. Like, I wanted a Star Wars movie to flop. Please don't be this one. This movie was so awesome. Like, please let this one exceed expectations and make so much money that they're like, well, fuck. I guess people really liked this style of movie, and they go back to. I'm not saying it needs to be all in the original trilogy timeline. I could literally be fine with all new characters that have lightsabers in the post whatever world. Just don't redo the old stories. Like, give me all new stories in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, absolutely. Really quick, talking about people standing up and cheering. I always thought that it's only douchebags do that. But I was compelled at the end of this film. I wanted to stand up and clap because, like, just the pacing at the end, it just crescendoed and then credits. And I'm just like, holy fucking shit. Like, I feel on fire right now. I want to, like, here, take my applause, giant neon screen. Like, I didn't, but I was, for the first time in my life, compelled to do that.
Did you notice, too, that when they uploaded the Death Star plans, they were the exact same ones from the original movie? They even had they even had the dish in the hemisphere, the center, which is wrong, but they kept the exact same schematics from the original movie?
Yes.
I was like, Jesus Christ, this is so good on so many levels that these people in the theater don't even realize right now.
And speaking
and you know how hard it takes. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it takes a lot to impress me. Go ahead, that's all I had to say.
No, speaking of the Death Star plans, I think them explaining that how Luke was able to destroy it was the smartest move they could have made. Because, you know, in, like, Family Guy, you know, that's a huge one of the big jokes is, like, how easy it was to destroy the Death Star. And I think by having them explain it that Galen did it intentionally as a way to kind of rebel against his oppressors, but make it so they wouldn't know, I thought that was absolutely perfect to kind of close that plot hole. And I don't know, I'm very impressed with the storytelling in this because I didn't see any inconsistencies in terms of, like, storytelling and how it meshes with the other films. In fact, I saw the opposite where it fixes some of them.
And I thought that was going to be stupid when it's like, oh, he's the reason there's the weakness in the Death Star. No, it works perfectly. It works perfectly.
Yeah, even with his hologram when he was, you know, telling his daughter the secret of oh god, I can't speak. When he's telling her the secret of destroying the Death Star, I was waiting for the hologram to, like, cut out because of what was going on, the explosions and everything, and just, like, at a crucial moment cut, but it never did. Thank God, it didn't do that cliche, and just, you know, it's like, oh, here's the answer, and you know, oh, no electricity, can't power the hologram machine. Oh shit, no, but no, they didn't do that, and it went all the way through, and you know, it was good. I was worried about that. One thing I really, really enjoyed were the battle scenes at the end of the movie. They were very, like, World War II kind of ish, and I really enjoyed that. They were very, very well done to me.
Yep,
No, I think that.
Oh my god, I'm getting ready to watch the Battle of Yavin right now at home, and I really want to go back and watch Rogue One again. Like, fuck, I've never, like, I love Civil War. It's my favorite movie of the year. I didn't go back and see it in theaters again. Like, Rogue One is a kind of movie you gotta watch in theaters because it's so big.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it in 3D, which was cool. The 3D did not add anything, so next time I go, I'm just gonna see it in regular, you know, not 3D IMAX. I wish they had regular IMAX because I love IMAX, but oh my god, everything they did was right. I was, like I said to Dustin before you came on the show, they should have just showed the original movie right after. It'd be cool if they do a supercut. Like, if Disney releases a supercut of A New Hope that is tied with Rogue One, so when you watch it, it goes directly into it, and it's just like, oh my god!
Don't say things like that because I might make you one.
Oh, and that's how they get around the Fox distribution. It's going, oh, this isn't episode 4, this is
Rogue 1.5.
No, honestly, whenever I'm able to get the files, I'll just make you one and give you the movie file so you can have it forever.
Oh my god, that's going to be my favorite thing ever.
It'll immediately go into it. It'll be like four hours of just Star Wars.
It's 4 hours of Star Wars I want to take in. Like, Dustin, I gotta say, though, recently, within this past year, I've gotten a lot kinder to the prequels to the point where I don't hate them anymore. I think they have a lot of good ideas. They just have some bad execution in points. Like, and the cool thing is, though, the prequels introduce a lot of neat Star Wars elements that helped build the universe. And they gave us the Clone Wars, which was awesome. Like, the Clone Wars cartoons, both of them, I think are better than episodes 1 and 2. And it's just nice to have those. Like, it's cool to give Star Wars a whole new, like, medium. Because I know there was a Star Wars cartoon prior to the Clone Wars back in the day with droids and Ewoks. But going back to watch that show, like, that is so cool. And only with the prequels could you have that.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and I like the storytelling, too, just because of how it explained how Palpatine was able to convince an entire galaxy to submit to him. I thought that was really good storytelling. I'm going to jump back really quick. Donnie Yen's fight scene was my second favorite action piece in the whole film, only behind Vader's. Originally, when people were talking about, like, oh, this martial artist, whatever, it's like, oh, that's not going to work in Star Wars. But watching how fluid he was and how it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't like, oh, they should have shot him at this point. It was like, wow, they choreographed this perfectly to where I could understand that he didn't die during that whole process.
The only thing I had a problem with is, like, they're just hitting stormtroopers. Like, doesn't the armor do anything? Like, they hit him in the arms and shit, and they're just like, ah! Like, shouldn't the stormtroopers at least be able to deflect, like, a stick?
Well,
then again, I guess the Ewoks whoop them.
Right. Yeah, think about episode 6. We could have it a lot worse, where they get a twig thrown at them and die somehow, so...
Oh,
yeah, the fucking... an AT-ST gets taken down by 2 logs. Logs! Like, hey, chop, chop, boom. And then that's how you beat it.
Well, and another thing is, it seemed to me like the first time you see him fight reminded me of, like, old school kung fu movies, and I was very satisfied with that. I was like, this is what this looks like, and the way they shot it was kind of in that same realm and in that same kind of way. And as soon as they did that, I was like, this works entirely. I'll let it go. This is awesome.
Nope, agreed. It was, that was a perfect addition. His sidekick was cool that he always had his back, where it wouldn't make sense for him to be able to take people down. Oh, here's a guy with a fucking giant laser machine gun.
Yeah, he was like, they were like Han Solo and Chewbacca in this movie. Like, seriously, no, think about that.
No,
like
I
Rocket Raccoon and Groot or something.
Yeah, and I mean, having the buddies and having that kind of buddy thing going on, I think that worked really well and was very awesome. Also, seeing the AT-ST in a street, an urban environment, shooting and just mowing down people was really awesome as well.
Yeah, that was the shit out of it. That kind of police state, instead of stormtroopers only being soldiers, we get to see them as essentially the police. I thought that was a cool element to add.
Also, from the trailer that we watched, I don't know, a long time ago, it seemed like that 2 elements were not in the movie from that trailer. The TIE fighter showing up.
With Jyn.
Yeah, and then seeing Rebel X-wing fighters in chains walking through the streets. I don't remember seeing that in the movie.
Yeah, that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that in the movie at all. So that was kind of odd, because I was like, we watched it a few hours, like 2 hours ago, and then seeing her on the side light and seeing her on that walkway, and then there's no TIE fighter. I was like, that's weird. There should be a TIE fighter.
Can we talk about how good, though, like, the Yavin 4 base was? How they matched it up to the original SOA. They even recast these old actors, these old characters, and they look almost dead on. Like, General Dodonna looks dead on.
I was so happy with the Yavin 4 base. It looked just like it should have, and it made me so happy.
In the fucking Rebel or the Imperial base on that final planet looked like the Death Star interior. That was neat. Like, they got everything right.
Yeah, they did. They did their homework. Thank God, and they put in the work, and they made it look the way it was supposed to in the same time, same era, and it made for a better experience and a better movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only thing I would have added is if they put Porkins in the movie, I would have given it a higher rating. Because realistically, they could have put Porkins in this movie, and it would have been awesome.
Also, yeah, that's one thing as well. When they were doing the TIE Fighter stuff, it seemed like they had old footage, but they had sharpened it a lot and put it in this movie.
They did. It was so cool. I said to Dustin, that was my favorite part. He talking about getting chills. I'm like, oh my god, it's red leader and gold leader. Like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
they're back.
Because I saw that, and I was like, did they take the old footage and scan it in 4K and put it in this movie? Is that what they did?
And they also credited those guys again. Like, those guys are still alive. And if you read this, I read the credits at the end. They gave them because if you use archival footage, you don't have to credit somebody like that. You know,
you don't have to
archival footage. They actually credited those guys as their role. I was like, sweet, because I saw a really good documentary called Elstree 1976 about the making of Star Wars, and it's all about the little side characters that were in the movie, like the other pilots and people who played stormtroopers and shit. And it was cool to see that somebody from that movie got to be in another Star Wars movie. I thought it was a really nice little, not send off, but a nice little moment. We'll put it like that.
Oh, definitely. I doubt those guys got paid again because their images are copyrighted and contracts and things. So
it'd be nice if they got a couple foul though.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if Disney's like, here's a check for $10,000, we're putting you in this movie. Like, okay,
they can afford. Disney can afford to give those guys $10,000.
Yeah, I mean they make $50 billion a year. Shit, Disney, pay off my college loans for me. I'll come work for you. Of course, with a nice salary.
Oh yeah.
But before we cut out tonight, Brian Lape had a list on our Facebook page, the World Class Bullshitters Facebook page, which you should all join if you're enjoying this review of Rogue One, which is way more positive than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was so ready to be like, Disney fucked up again. Disney did this again.
Yeah.
Mary Sue.
No. Just like the podcast leading up to this, you were just like, everything you had read and heard and all the rumors and stuff were just like, I hope it isn't this. Hope it isn't this. Hope this doesn't happen. But it was a nice surprise that it's a complete story by itself.
When I was getting a hold of you, Jeff, to see if I could do the podcast with you tonight, I genuinely was scared. I was like, man, I am so fucking pumped right now. I'm gonna feel really bad when I get a hold of Jeff, and you're like, I fucking hate it. This is the worst. And I'd be like, damn, that's gonna suck. Luckily, that didn't happen.
No, I wanted to try to troll you guys and be like, I hated it so much, and then be like, I loved it. But I left the theater like, fuck, man, this is what it feels like to be happy and a Star Wars fan again. Like, I'm there.
Yeah,
but Brian, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I mean, yeah. The first time you see Jimmy Smits in the movie kind of freaked me out and worried me because he mentions like the girl that he trusts, whatever, the female he trusts. I remember the thing you said about Jyn being Princess Leia and that was her code name, and I was worried as shit. I was like, oh, don't do it.
That was a big rumor online for the last 2 weeks. I'm like, if this is true, this is the dumbest twist ever.
Because because I saw him say that, and then I was like, oh, please don't let it be that. Please don't let it be that. And it wasn't, and I was happy.
It never even crossed my mind. I was just like, oh, he's referring to Obi-Wan and Leia during his speech. Really quick, reshoots. Nick, you brought up the TIE Fighter when she's on Scarif on that platform. I definitely think that was reshot because that's the one time where I noticed a continuity error. She's not wearing makeup during that scene when she walks back from flipping the switch and confronts Krennic.
Oh, okay.
But everything around that, she looks amazingly hot with a bunch of eyeshadow. And that one scene where there should have been a TIE Fighter, her look changes and looks really disheveled with no makeup compared to everything before and after it.
Okay, so then that's the inconsistency then.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they definitely reshot her final confrontation with the director.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's whenever a movie like this, whenever a big franchise is reshoots, it's always a bad sign. But I mean, if they were, we don't know to the extent of reshoots. It could be another week, it could be another month. Could be another 6 months. We don't know. So whenever reshoots is brought up, we have no idea how far they're going. It could be minor things, Oh,
and I think it was. And I read an interview with a director, and he said, we showed the initial cut to Disney, and I said, there are things I wish I could have done a little bit differently. And they said, well, here's some money. And he goes, how would I not take that opportunity to take, and essentially at this point now, an unlimited reshoot budget and make it exactly how I want it. And he goes, right, and he goes, everyone thought that, it didn't work well, test audiences. No, it did. He goes, but I knew that there are things that I wanted that they didn't budget for me before that now they're letting me do. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, jeez, that's crazy. And I mean, I guess if that's the case, then he did a good job by speaking up and saying, here's the things I wish I would have done. And Disney's like, well, here's a blank check. Just enjoy the weekend. Just
right.
Enjoy.
Because at that point they trusted him. They go, oh, that's what you made? Okay, here's.
Yeah, and I mean that's good. They trust him and they gave him the money for it and gave him the extra time. But on just hearing reshoots is always sketchy. Always a 50-50 feeling and just kind of like it's just yeah. But I'm glad. I mean, I think it worked in their favor for them to say that because it made everybody's expectations kind of lowered a little bit, and I think it worked out really well in the end.
Yeah, man, like everything worked. Like all those new characters, all the new ideas, everything just like nobody sucked. Even her. The fact that she was I don't advocate hitting a woman, but the fact that she got beat up and like it showed like in The Force Awakens, Rey gets hit and shit and she just gets up and keeps fighting. Like Jyn Erso was limping at the end of the fucking movie because she got hurt. Like
her nose was bleeding. She got shit kicked out of her.
Yeah, like even Princess Leia got shot in Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like, I honestly hope that there's somewhere in Hollywood right now, and people are like, man, in a way we kind of dropped the ball with Episode 7. Yet made a lot of money, but if we continue down that path, we're going to really turn off a lot of people. And I hope that they look at this one and go like, well, this seems to have a really positive reaction, like a more realistic reaction too, because Episode 7 is just oddly positive. This one is getting less of a positive response, which I like because they're not trying to please everybody. They're trying to tell a good story, and it's nice.
Yeah,
they did that.
Yeah, no, I will agree with you. They did that 100%, and I mean that's the number one thing to always do. Tell a good story. Forget everything else. Forget the CGI. Forget the big name actors. Tell a good story.
Cassian, however it's pronounced, he was way more fucking ruthless than I imagined from the trailers.
Fuck yeah.
Like, he would just murdered people in cold blood who were even helping him. Like, just for the sake of him surviving. Like, did not expect that one bit.
I thought he was going to be like a cucky beta male, like I said on the other Star Wars video. Like, oh my god, the guys are weaker than Finn, and Finn's a fucking bitch. Realistically. He is a fucking... Like, everyone goes, oh, it's progressive to have a black guy. You made the black guy the lamest character. Like, at least with Empire and Jedi... You basically
made the black guy the slave to the white woman.
Yeah. But, like, Lando Calrissian was a pimp. Like, yeah, he was a piece of shit and betrayed his friends, but he was a slick dude. Like, he wasn't stupid. And then when Return of the Jedi rolls around, he destroys the second Death Star. So don't give me this bullshit like Star Wars has no black people and Star Wars has no women that do things. Like, Princess Leia killed Jabba the Hutt. She's the one that beat the guy that Han Solo couldn't escape. That one ups her in my eyes. Lando led the fucking rebel fleet. And then I guess he did other battles, like they talk about the Battle of Tanab. Like, Lando was cool, man. Like, you don't need to... This whole progressive SJW bullshit is ruining a lot of movies, and thankfully, it didn't really touch Rogue One.
Well, and this just clicked with me. A lot of people are like, oh, women are only used for, like, the damsel in distress. Like Scarlett Johansson and Avengers 2 or whatever. It just clicked with me that Han Solo was the damsel in distress, and fucking Leia shows up in Episode 6 to rescue him from the castle. Like, so for anyone to think that Star Wars needs a Mary Sue character, no, here's a badass woman who's believable in what she can do and who flips that trope on its head already. So don't say that we need more of it. We already have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to,
perfectly well.
Yeah, you just have to look further and actually watch some shit. Don't just say something because, some dude cut you in line at fucking Starbucks. It's there, look for it, shut your fucking mouth.
Now, real quick before we end this, Brian Lape, he said he had predictions he said, my prediction to Jeff's reaction to Rogue One. So I'm going to go through, it's just a list of a few things, and we're going to see how I felt, if he was accurate or not. So, it was shot well and had high cinematic value. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
The visuals were stunning and the music fit the scenes. Half of that is correct. The visuals were stunning, but the music sucked. Music is terrible.
It is.
Like, for example, I'm watching Star Wars right now on mute. Because the music is so good, I literally know where the music would be because of how powerful it is. Like, it's ingrained in my memory. Like, when I watch the movie without sound, I know the music. And when I listen to the music without the movie, I know where the movie is. That's the sign of a great score. And Star Wars just always have the best score of all time. Like, I'm not even trying to be mean. There's no debate about it. Like, no other movie has a better score. Empire has the Imperial March, whoop-de-doo. This whole movie's score is spot on. Like, nothing else out there has a better score.
And all of it is iconic. Regardless of what part you hear, you know what it is and what's going on.
Yeah, Star Wars is almost too good for its own good. Like, everything just fucking works. Like, you could actually go, and to a degree, every scene is iconic. And holy shit, there's another guy from Rogue One that they snuck in. Like, there's this random background character that they put in Rogue One that's in A New Hope. One of the Rebel technicians, he's just wearing a white coat with like a tan... Anyway, sorry, I digress. Back to this list. Vader was horrifying at the end, but a bit out of character. He wasn't out of character at the end, but he was horrifying.
Yeah, the only time he was out of character was when he made that stupid pun.
Yeah, that was retarded. It was so bad. I did not like it one bit. Mary Sue 2.0 was completely annoying. Not a Mary Sue! Got her ass kicked in the first 10 seconds.
What pun did Darth Vader make?
Don't choke on your ambitions, Droid.
Oh yeah, no, never mind. No, not a fan of that. Yeah, as soon as I heard that, I was like, fuck you, Vader. Never would have said that. What the fuck's wrong with you?
She wasn't a Mary Sue. She continuously got her ass whipped. Guys always saved her, and she didn't have any magical powers outside of anything. She was just a trained terrorist, trained by Sol Guerrera, and the physical stuff she did was believable because it ended with her getting her ass whipped.
Yep, and she died like I wanted to. Like I wanted to see the whole time.
And she wasn't annoying. Like, she didn't do her, I'm a rebel, that's what I do, from the trailer or whatever. I rebel. No, they cut that out. So her lines were a sad woman who was reluctant to join at first, then had something to fight for, and then ultimately died for that thing. That wasn't annoying. That was a good character.
Yeah, they really kind of hammer home that she has trust issues.
They did a phenomenal job, and I almost called her Felicity Shagwell. Felicity Jones was good. Like, I'll just keep going back to episode 7. Daisy Ridley sucked. She does not know how to act. She just opens her eyes wide and her mouth goes, oh, like that's her version of acting. Because episode 7 feels like it was rushed. Like they made it in 3 weeks. It's like, oh my god, don't worry. Toy sales. Nostalgia. Like fuck you people. Like Rogue One's an actual movie.
Yeah, and Rogue One was quiet. Like everything about it was quiet, and it was very just like, just wait.
Yeah, and it all built up to something amazing. Like, I would like to think that somewhere Gary Kurtz, the guy that produced the first 2 Star Wars movies, is watching this and going, they got this one right. Like, because Gary Kurtz contributed so much to what Star Wars is, and probably didn't get much money out of it, but definitely deserves it, So, it's nice to know that they kind of returned it back to its original form. Brian goes on to say the last third of this movie was good. Yeah, the last third of this movie was great, dude. Like, the whole movie was good, but there were more than not great parts. Like, everything just worked, I was a little sad to see some of the characters die, but other than that, I fucking loved it.
I think the pacing was the best in any of the 8 films. I think it didn't feel like 2 hours and 17 minutes. It just, by the time it was done, it was just like, oh, it's over? Like, it left me wanting more. And that's huge in entertainment and art.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, really, like the fact that you guys wanted to rewatch it immediately afterwards says a lot about how good it is.
He says Kathleen Kennedy's social justice warrior BS overshadowed a good movie. No, not this time, thank you.
Not at all.
Not at all.
They must have not given a shit, or I know I wasn't reading into it in episode 7. Like, it's there. It's just
no. It is. No, it is. It is entirely there. In this one, in this one we were afraid of it being there, and there were people that said it might be there, but no. She was equal. She fought. She did her thing. She got her ass kicked. Like she was equal with everybody. She was part of the Rebel Alliance, not part of she wasn't the girl in the group.
Yeah, and she died.
And not only that, like normally with like SJW stuff, it's like anti. White male Christian America capitalism. When they had like fucking terrorists who looked like Muslims, and like seriously, Sol Guerrera's group, they were wearing the fucking hijabs or whatever the fucking towels are on their heads, And like they were bad guys. They like were like yelling "Allah Akbar" and throwing grenades in a town and like blowing innocent people up. Like did not expect that from Star Wars. Now,
oh god.
I like my Muslims bad, and this movie delivered on that.
Oh god! If I didn't know you and you were saying that, I would just be like, you are a fucking racist. But you're fine. It's okay.
How's it racist?
I know. I know exactly what you mean. It's fine. Don't worry. You're not that bad.
Let's see. He will be saddened that this movie shows that The Force Awakens, what it could have been, had J.J. Abrams not been so bent on making a fanboy reshoot of Episode 4. Yeah, that is my sentiment, but I don't have to watch Episode 7 ever again, so thank God for, freedom of choice. And then, overall, a 6. Better than The Force Awakens, but not nearly good as any others. Wrong, Brian Lape! It's a fucking 8.5. I'm not going to spoil where I'm going to rate it, because I'm going to do a whole video where I rank every Star Wars movie. So I don't want to kind of kill the effect of you watching that other video, because I've already written it, and I put the time into it. So I'm just going to have to finagle Rogue One somewhere there, and find out on Monday, maybe.
I bet it's top 3.
I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
So, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we put this baby to bed and I put up the best movie review I think we've ever done?
I hope that they follow suit with this movie and the way they've done this and make the others like this. I don't want another Episode 7. I want more of this.
I think this was a phenomenal first entry into the Star Wars stories spin-offs, or the anthology series, or whatever they're calling it. However, I'm still very skeptical of the Han Solo standalone film, because I don't think they're going to be able to have as much creative freedom with it as they did with this one, having all new characters. And the genre they took, I think, was the right choice for it. So, all in all, this got me pumped up like I haven't been pumped up since I was a kid. But I don't think that it means that every standalone is going to be good, though I hope I'm wrong.
I have faith. My faith has been restored with Disney owning Star Wars, because they can do this. Last year at this time, it was, I don't want to see another fucking Star Wars thing. Like, honestly, I haven't purchased a piece of Star Wars merchandise since, like, Episode 7 came out. I had pre-ordered something from the original trilogy, and that finally showed up, so that's a different story. But Episode 7 had killed Star Wars for me. It really made me jaded, and I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. I'm like, how am I the only one that feels this way? And as time goes on, more and more people are starting to see the shit I had issues with right away. Like, I couldn't even get through that movie without having those problems. I'm worried that Episode 8's going to suck dick. Like, honestly, I don't care about Kylo Ren. He's a cunt. Rey's a cunt. Luke Skywalker was a cunt for running away. Princess Leia's a cunt for being old. C-3PO is a cunt for having a red arm. All of them are cunts. I don't give a shit who you are. Han Solo's a cunt because he died like a bitch. Fuck everybody, okay? They're all a bunch of idiots. Like, I don't care about those characters anymore. Like, I care about that universe, and I like, what could have been, but not what was. This movie was phenomenal. 8.5 out of 10. Might just bump it up to a 9 after I watch it a second time, to be honest with myself. I was really, jazzed. I'm worried about the Han Solo movie because Han Solo is an iconic character, and only one actor has played him for 40 years. Okay? This is not James Bond, where Sean Connery played him from 62 to 69, and then in 67, then 69, George Lazenby comes in and takes over the role. And then Roger Moore, and Timothy Dalton, and Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig. It's not a character where we've had 6 different interpretations. Han Solo and Indiana Jones have always been played by Harrison Ford, and no matter how old he gets, he still has that swagger and charisma. And I like the choice they made with this Alden Ehrenreich guy. I feel like he was, of all the young actors to pick, he was the only one I actually knew who he was, because I've seen him in movies, and I felt like he had that cowboy excitement. Now, I hope they make him upright, give him the right haircut, give him the right clothes, give him the Millennium Falcon and all that shit. I don't want... Like, I'm very worried that a Han Solo movie could suck, but they've already ruined Han Solo for me, so it couldn't get any worse.
Oh, if you haven't seen this film, if you sat through all this, do yourself a favor and fucking go see it now, or the very next showing that's possible in your area, and then go ahead and go see it again, because I guarantee it is not money wasted. It is money and time well spent. It'll make you love the franchise again, or if you loved it already after Episode 7, it'll make you love it even more, and it'll show you that the Star Wars universe is big enough to have fresh, exciting stories that still fit the main narrative.
So, I'm going to suggest that what you do is, if you haven't seen this movie, and you own a copy of the original Star Wars on Blu-ray, or DVD if you're uncivilized, you go and you watch A New Hope. And then you go watch Rogue One, and then you come back and you watch A New Hope again. Because get A New Hope fresh in your mind, then enjoy Rogue One, drink it in, man, and then rewatch A New Hope and see how close and how loyal they were to the material. Okay? They did a great job. They did it right. This is going to be another Star Wars Christmas in the Hicks household. I might have to go out and get a K2SO action figure or something to put on the shelf. Thank you, Alan Tudyk. Your performance was 10 out of 10. You're the funniest person to ever be in a Star Wars movie. Everyone else, you did a good job. Like you're ever going to hear this podcast, but still, if for some reason this becomes a soundbite on the internet or something, everybody, especially you, Ben Mendelsohn, everyone did a great job. I loved Krennic. I want more. I mean, he's dead, so they can't get more. But I was interested in him. I can't say I want more. He was perfect for as much as we got. Darth Vader, I wish you were cooler, like voice-wise, because James Earl Jones, man, you're just 98 years old, and you sound like you're fucking dying in a soup can or something, you know? Just, I don't know what to say. I apologize if I offended you, Mr. Earl Jones, but Jesus Christ, man. They make the guy that does the voice of Chad Vader sound more like Darth Vader than you. What the fuck? Like Disney. Here, look at Disney. Ignore all the times I've called you fucking cunts, because I have said those things, and I don't apologize, because I meant them, and I still do for what you've done in the past. But be smart. Go back and redo the audio and fix Darth Vader's voice, please. That'll make Rogue One and you know what? Just take some old John Williams score and put that over this movie, and that'll be a 10 out of 10. Better score, better Vader, perfect movie. There you go. That's all I got to say. Nick, do you have anything you want to say before we close it out?
No, I mean I'm all with you guys. Definitely go watch it. You know, watch it and watch it again. You know, if you love it, give it money. And I think you should definitely really give this one money so they make more of this, more Star Wars movies like this in that realm where we have newer characters in the same universe and all that stuff. Like we definitely need that. That has to happen. It just has to be.
I agree with that sentiment. Dustin, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Disney may be a bunch of kikes, but they turned something out special here.
Oh yeah, Trump 2016, he won, remember?
We'll see.
oh yeah, we'll talk about that off air. I heard about what you're talking about. Anyway, guys, this has been World Class Bullshitters. I hope we didn't turn you off from the channel because we weren't very anti-Star Wars tonight. Because, look it, if anything, the thing I want to get the point I want to get across about this channel is I'm always honest. You know, I'm not trying to, like me personally, I'm not trying to come up with a catchphrase and give you all this shit and be, you know, whatever. I'm trying to give you the most honest assessment that I can with everything, you know, be it Spectre or Civil War or Rogue One. Like, I'm always coming in trying to give you guys my genuine feelings. Not what you want to hear. Like, I'm not Chris Stuckman. I'm not Jeremy Johns. I'm not going to go, oh, spectacular, and throw my hands around and wear a fucking cape like a bitch. Like, I'm not going to do those things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit around with my best friends and we're going to discuss a movie and try to give you... We're going to talk to you on a level that doesn't sound pandering. We're not going to sit and talk about all these stupid film techniques that are, what was it, like mise-en-scène and all that dumb shit that we learned in college. Like, I'm not going to try to elevate myself to entertain you or to sound like I'm more credible. Because I am credible. I've been a Star Wars fan for almost 20 years, actually 20 years at this point. You know? Like, I've been in this shit for 20 years. I feel like it's come full circle. I'm proud to be a Star Wars fan again. I don't need to zip up my t-shirt when I go out if I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. I don't need to avoid fuckers dressed like whatever. Well, I do need to avoid fuckers dressed like Rey. Like, I was at the comic book store and there were these lesbians dressed as Rey and they're like, she's so amazing. And I'm like, no, she's not. And I walked away. And I didn't want to get into an argument because I thought they would say I hate gay people or something. Because you know how these idiots get to like, well, you don't like what I like, you're a homophobe. What does that even mean at this point? Like, Never mind. Fuck it. That's off topic. Anyway, thanks for listening. Make sure you check out incarnate-studios.com. Pick up a t-shirt. It's not too late to get some for Christmas. We got some Anti-Episode 7 shirts, so that's cool. Make sure, if you just find this video by chance, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because you can go back to 1 year ago and listen to me bitch about episode 7 and how my heart was literally broken. Like Padme goes, "You're breaking my heart, Anakin." Well, god damn it, J.J. Abrams, you took mine out, you stomped on it, you pissed it, you tried to put it back in, but it didn't work. So you know what? Fuck you, J.J. You fucked up part of Star Trek, you fucked up Star Wars. Gareth Edwards, you made it better. Listeners, thanks for watching. We'll be back next Thursday, maybe. I know I'll be back with a Christmas-themed episode. So come back next week, and for all that good shit, stick right here with World Class Bullshitters. Good night.